Hello, everybody. Good morning. I am Kelly. This is Kelly's House of Chaos, and we are going live from inside my car. There you go. Thank you. That's creepy. Weirdo. Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Welcome on in. This is Kelly from Kelly's House of Chaos. I'm going live from inside my car today. I'm trying to figure out how to be a content creator. And I gotta tell you, this is not the thing that's natural or normal for me. I'm more of a hibernate in my house, which not good because I'm also borderline agoraphobic. At one point, I hadn't left my house in almost a year. Like literally hadn't left past the front door. And I went to go exit my house and went to the front door and had a moment where I physically could not go through the door. Yes, I was over 600 pounds, so getting through it would physically have been difficult, but also mentally, it felt like the door was pulsating at me, like it grew in front of me. It's such a hard thing to explain, and it felt like the door was mentally and physically blocking me from going out, and that's when I really knew I had an issue and needed to make some changes. That was almost, oh gosh, I want to say almost a decade ago when that happened. And so I'm better at leaving my home. I can go outside. It's still really hard. I still have such intense anxiety. And I'm terrified of people like looking at me and the uncomfortable situations that come up. But I definitely don't want to live my life like that. So I'm trying to grow and change to be more comfortable out in the world. It does help that I've lost a few hundred pounds, but it's still not enough by standards of beauty and health in our world. So it's still awkward and difficult. Hello, hello, hi, how are you? Still awkward and difficult going out into the world when you're not a normal sized person, a normal looking person, because you get all the looks and the comments and most of the time I think people mean well. I think they honestly mean well, but when you do work really, really hard to get the energy and the motivation and the guts to go into the grocery store, and people will come up to you, mostly older white women, no idea why, to tell you, do you know you're fat? Do you know that's unhealthy? Do you know what you're doing to your body? No, Linda, I have no clue. I mean, I just had to fight for my life to get the guts to come in here. But I have no clue what I look like. It's amazing to me that people feel like they have that right to talk to people like that. But I have to put on blinders. I have to go out in the world regardless of what others think. And it's kind of hard because I've been watching a lot of other beautiful women's posts who are big girls, like post clothes that they're confident in or post themselves out in the world, and they're insulted and degraded on the regular. And a lot of the comments are like, well, you should go do something. You should go be active. Well, they literally are. They're photos and images and videos of them being active out in the world, but it's just not good enough. So I'm not really sure, how are you supposed to make anybody else happy, let alone yourself? I saw a video yesterday of two different occasions of two very plus size beautiful women showing outfits that they felt confident in a trend right now. Basically like the trend where they're doing clothes I wore this year as a plus size girly, or some version of that, where someone you post clothes that you wear as, I don't know, a single stay-at-home mom, or as a worker in the trades, or whatever the case may be. And there were so many positive and kind and loving people in there. There really were. And the girls came back and were confident. But I imagine it's gotta hurt that there's still, for every 3 or 4 positive people, there was 3 or 4 mean, negative, nasty people. And I just don't understand why people go out into the world purposely to just bring others down. If they don't like how somebody looks, they don't need to comment on it. It's none of their business. They're not living that person's life. And I just don't understand it. What about you guys? Anybody in here feel like you have the right to comment on other people's bodies, situations, lives? If so, why do you think people do it? While I'm talking about fat people and their judgment they get in the world, I am eating a pepperoni stick because I am not getting enough protein. I've lost approximately 200 pounds in the last 2 years, 100 pounds since February. And I'm hoping to lose another 100 pounds before the summer. It's been an interesting and difficult journey. And while I feel lighter, everything that you do in your world, in your life, has its positives and negatives. It was safer hiding at home. And that's being very real. It's safer when I'm hiding at home than going out in the world. Because being out in the world, you're just faced with all the negativity, all the criticism, every opinion that other people have. So it was safer at home. Not necessarily funner, but safer. Also, I wasn't moving at all. Not that I'm able to move much yet, but I was moving a lot more than I was when I was well over 600 pounds. And while I've always been in chronic pain, and I've always been in a lot of pain, it wasn't hurting as much as I do now while I'm still in chronic pain. But now I have the added bonus of aches and pains from moving around and carrying a giant body with me. It's like I feel better, like I can move better. Not well. Let's not get all excited. It's not like I can walk for miles. A few steps, maybe. I can stand for a few minutes, maybe, at durations of time. But before I couldn't stand at all. And I couldn't move more than a trip to the bathroom, and that was it. And I think on my exercise tracker, I had logged on average less than 100 steps a day. And I'm going to guarantee most of those were just to the bathroom and back. And now I can get around probably a couple thousand a day. When I go to physical therapy, I get an extra 700 that day because the machine tracks it. But I'm having to go to physical therapy to learn to walk. When you lose a lot of weight, actually when you gain a lot of weight, you lose your ability to walk correctly. It's not as innately like when you're a child and you learn to walk. Everything just kind of falls once you learn your balance and stuff, and you fall into place. When you gain that much weight or have that much inactivity time, you lose a lot of that stability, and you lose a lot of your gait and your rhythm and stuff. And so now that I lost a couple 100 pounds, I am literally into physical therapy to relearn how to walk and stand and lift my feet and not shuffle. And you would be surprised at how hard that is. But I love it. It feels satisfying. It feels enriching. It does. So while I'm physically trying to improve my life, I'm financially trying to improve my life and trying to become a content creator here. It's honestly not something I'm great at, but I think that I'm learning and I'm getting better every day. And by better, like I'm not moving the goalpost by football fields, more like by centimeters. And so I'm getting a little bit better, a little bit more confident, a little bit more aware of what my voice is and who I am. Hello. And I'm trying to learn as I'm going and get better and better and better. You know, so far, I just really suck at it. And I think that's okay. I think it's okay to suck at that. And I'm trying to... Oh, I don't know. Yes. What is your real talent? Is it going to get me banned on here? Probably. But anyways, I am... Did you? It's a push up on your fingers. I feel like that's a trick. What's an amusement park? Is that like a gift on here or something? But I don't vote for gifts. That would be silly. I doubt that you're going to send me any. I don't think I've ever gotten any gifts on here. I'm new. But if you're wondering what my political leanings are, I will be very clear to you. I believe in personal freedom for everybody. And I believe we are all human beings. And we all have rights. And we all get to have personal autonomy over our bodies. So... that may make you mad. You're probably not going to send me a gift thing. I'm sure that you're just kind of rage baiting me here. But that's okay. I'm confident enough in my ability to say what I believe in. But anyways, what I was saying is that I'm trying to learn out loud in public in front of everybody on the internet. Granted, there's 2 people in the room right now, and they're probably here just to rage bait me. But, and so I'm trying to learn this new skill. And I don't know, while anybody has ever said that this is something that's easy to do, it is not. This is literal work. This is hard. And it's not any payoff that you get from it. It's not like a regular job where you go log hours and you get paid hourly. You don't get paid. You're not even getting paid commissions on sales really, because not making any sales. So you're doing all kinds of work and advertising and stuff. Granted, I suck at it, but at least when you go to a regular job, when you suck at your job while you're learning, you're still getting paid while you're learning. You're still getting paid while you're learning that job and those skills. This job, you don't. And then, so you just kind of look like an idiot out here in the world and to the people around you. And I hope that in 18 months, like some of the other people in the universe, the TikTok streets, that I will be in a position that I can afford a home for our family and also a place to run my business and be able to pay the bills and not have to worry about the electric bill and not be concerned that Christmas is in a few days and we don't have a single gift or a tree or stockings for all the nieces and nephews I raised. And so, you know, my thought is that next year it's going to look different. But in the meantime, I get to sit here and just look like an idiot on the internet and let people come in here and ask me what my cup size is, because that's relevant to learning how to be a creator, correct? I'm not really in the bra sales department. Tony boy, what's your cup size? Tony boy, you didn't answer me. I need to know. If you're going to ask me deeply personal and inappropriate questions, shouldn't you, let me know the answer to yours? So in the meantime, I am out here out loud failing in public so that maybe someday I'll fail a little bit less, and then a little bit less, and then a little bit less, and then maybe I might actually be decent at it. If anybody out there watching wants to give me any advice, I'd be happy to hear it. I'm trying to figure out what's the smart way to do this. But thus far, I'm just kind of failing quietly and then finding little successes. Like I used to have all of my content videos were all labeled not good quality. Now I've got like 20% that are labeled good quality by the algorithm. So that was exciting. That's a plus. Not that anyone were converted to any kind of sales or anything, but still, that's still a bonus. I guess I should pin something in case I was gonna ever make any kind of sales on here, but probably not, because sales are not my thing. I will tell you, it is really, really, really hard to sell when you have personal ingrained insecurities about money and other people's money, and my assumption that other people don't have it because nobody I know does. And so I have to figure out how to change that mindset. Does anyone have like a good book or something good that I can read that will just, like magic, change my mindset around sales and money? Because I think that's a stumbling block I have. Because I go into the videos with the intent that, yeah, I might love the product or I might like the product, but nobody can afford to buy stuff right now. But I mean, I'm just going off the people I know. Just because every family I know can't afford Christmas or food or groceries or their rent, doesn't mean the rest of the world is in the same situation. I hope the rest of the world is not in the same situation. I really hope. But on that side, I hope that I'm able to change our situation and the people around me. Because if I can start making my company make money, then I can hire the people around me to work for me, to do the things that I don't have time to do, or teach them the trade so they can do it themselves and bring it. I feel like you can bring up the people around you with you as you come up. Sorry, somebody's here. What are we doing?
Throwing his bike down because I'm angry at it.
Oh, okay.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm dropping it off for him. I fixed it.
You did?
Yeah,
Oh.
the back room was all bad. I gave a whole new room.
Oh, that was so kind of you. Thank you. He'll be so happy when he comes home.
I would hope so.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, just buy the post. It's fine. I appreciate that. I really do.
Yeah, no problem.
My 8-year-old's bike back rim got ran over by a car, and his friend's family. The bike guy.
What can I say? I'm good at it.
The bike guy fixed
Alright.
it for him.
Yeah, I'm good at it.
And just brought it by and dropped it off because he left it at his house the other day. How kind is that? His bike is kind of like a patchwork of all random parts because it's just been pieced together with different random parts that he's found or has been broken and replaced over time. But so that was nice of him. He's been really kind of sad this weekend without his bike. Someone on the road hit his bike and kind of ran over the back, and so he left it at a friend's house, and they fixed it for him, and they just delivered it by for him. That was super cool. That was super kind of them. I wonder what I can do to show my appreciation a little bit. I don't know. Make cupcakes or something? What do people do? Anyways, I'm going out into the world in front of everybody. Lehigh, hi. So, questions of the day. Hi, Will. How are you? I am sitting in the storm, in the middle of a storm in my car. At least I'm dry. And I'm getting ready to go in the house for the day and start filming content and get some work done. And it feels a little bit like I'm plugging in the hours, logging in the hours, and just hoping, I'm yelling into this fear that something will come out of it. But right now, nothing's really doing it. So I'm just putting a lot of hope and faith that the work I'm doing will pay off. If nothing else, I am developing skills. I am becoming more confident. I am becoming more comfortable with how I look, because I have always disliked my own appearance and how I look. And something about having to stare at your face all day long makes you become a little bit desensitized to that self-hatred, I think, a little bit. So this isn't necessarily a bad thing. It makes you become more comfortable. It also makes me become less concerned about what other people think. And you know what's weird is, do any of you guys use AI? Do you use ChatGPT? Learning to communicate with ChatGPT is helping me to communicate more effectively with the people around me. One, it has taken me a while to become very comfortable with the fact that she could care less that I don't like something. She'll just fix it and move on. I I'm learning that I can just communicate very clearly with her without fear of insult or retribution or judgment. I can say, stop, I don't like that, and there's no hurt feelings. So while you still have to be sensitive to people when you speak to them, it is allowing me to become more comfortable practicing that direct communication. Because I think that maybe it's because I grew up in a family of addiction and trauma and abuse. I grew up constantly approaching conflict even if it's minor, in a way that doesn't set everybody off. So, example, if I don't like the way something is said or done or organized or accomplished or a plan, either I would just go along with it, or I would have to come up with a full plan that I know would not piss the other person off or the people involved off, because you're worried about the reactions. That's a trauma response. I don't want to live my life responding to trauma when there or potential trauma or potential negativity when there isn't even any evidence necessarily that they'll be there. Because it's okay to disagree with someone. It is okay to have an argument in a healthy way. It is okay to dislike something and to say that. That doesn't make it okay to be disrespectful. It doesn't make it okay to be insulting. It doesn't make it okay to be inconsiderate. And so I think it's hard for people to find that bridge between confidence and communication while also being considerate and respectful. Because it's okay not to like something. It is not okay to be belligerently disrespectful. And I think people miss that mark. And I overcorrect for that mark so that I don't unintentionally, I'm constantly watching my words, constantly thinking about what I want to say, planning the conversation, because I don't want to unnecessarily cause a problem. It's almost like I'm going into it babying their needs. And you shouldn't have to do that either. So while you shouldn't be disrespectful and insulting to people, and you should be able to communicate directly with people, you also do need to be respectful and considerate to other people, but not so overly so that you lose your ability to communicate your needs and wants. And I think, especially if you're coming from a place of trauma, if you're coming from a place of histories of abuse in your life, or where you've had to do your best to control situations for people's safety, that can be legitimately an incredibly complicated and difficult thing. What do you guys think? Do any of you have a hard time with this? Do any of you feel this? Is this a universal struggle, or is this a me issue? Is it, am I special? Am I special here? Or am I just one of us struggling to communicate like a human being? I don't know. This is weird, by the way. Just sitting here randomly talking into the void. Just rambling. All right. What are your guys' thoughts today? Do you want to go with something controversial? I am feeling terror and fear and so much uncertainty because of immigration policies and practices and how it affects our communities and the people in it. And it's such an isolating topic when some of the people around you don't feel the same way. When the world you live in, it feels like you so many different parts of it see what's going on and think it's okay. How are people seeing what's happening in our country and in our world and not being negatively affected by it? How are they seeing what's going on in our communities and think that any of it is good? How can they watch video after video after video of families being ripped apart violently and for no real reason? People disappearing and not coming back. People being harmed and not getting care. Basic human rights in our country is what I grew up believing in. Even if I always sometimes low-key felt like it didn't pertain to me, I felt on some level like, particularly my family, we're kind of the low on the totem poles in the world. We're, you know, have a history of addicts and instability and homelessness and poverty. And on some level, I think that I grew up feeling like I was less than the people around us. And while I don't want that to be true, it's still very real things that I felt growing up. And I don't ever want other people to feel that way. But it didn't feel like it pertained to other people. I felt like it was just us that kind of sucked. Again, I know that's not true, that it's not just my family. We're not cursed. At least I hope not. But now going around and seeing what's going on, on some level, I still felt like our country stood for some many amazing things. And while I felt like we might have been garbage on some level, I didn't think other people felt like that. And I didn't think the country treated other people like that. And as I got older and older and I saw more and more examples of where other people were also unfairly treated or not taken care of or not respected, I became more aware. But I also kind of still kept the hope. And I just kind of went, our country's still a baby. It's still learning. It's still growing. It's going through phases. And it's not perfect, but it's amazing still. And it has so much amazing things. And I love this country. But the things that have been happening this year, I still love this country. I still think it has so much potential. But it's been scary. And I just cannot believe the things that have been happening are happening here. Because they feel like they should be attributed to countries worlds away. Where people are not educated and smart. And I just know that our country has so many empathetic, educated, smart people. And I just don't understand how we can be dealing with these situations in a country filled with great people. So maybe other people aren't feeling as strongly as I am. And while I am personally not a Mexican American or a Mexican family, I do know and love a lot of Mexican families. And if I'm terrified as a privileged white woman, how must they be feeling? And by privileged, I don't mean money because I'm poor. And I don't mean beauty because I'm not. I'm privileged based this on the fact that I'm white in this world. So if I'm terrified about what's going on, and I'm terrified for the people I know, and I'm terrified for the children in my kids' schools, how are the families living with this feeling? And why does it feel like people aren't having any empathy or care or concern for them? And again, am I just a white woman on the internet complaining about things that aren't my business? But it has to be somebody's business, doesn't it? Are other people out here not feeling this? Are they not feeling like terror? I don't even know if I have a right to make comments or a right to be afraid. I don't know how to proceed. And at the same time, I want to have hope that something's going to be fixed, that something's going to change, that we can't just see this crap happening. I just don't understand how people aren't seen as people. How anybody can see less than or differently just based purely on the origin of their family's heritage and their color of their skins. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. And now I'm just a white woman crying on the internet. How is that helpful? Anyway, I came here to hang out with some friends before I had to go get to work at my job that I don't make any money at. Because I'm trying to be a content creator. Trying to change my family's lives and the lives of people around me. Doing it in a world that is terrifying me. Does anybody else feel like that? Like you have to still go about your day. You still have to do the things you have to do, whether they're working or not. You still have to take care of laundry and dinner. Yeah, you wish at times that it was easy to give it all up and just go home. It's so complicated. Where's home? I think that it's immensely complicated and it's not simple. My family would benefit from living in a different area financially, emotionally. We can use more room, but there's no way we're in a position to move. We can't just pack up and move a state away, let alone countries away. Undo every connection you've ever made, every job you might actually already still have, every thing you've built. So how is someone that's supposed to be expected to just pick up their entire families and go to countries maybe they aren't familiar with? Some people I know have never lived in the country of origin. I know people who have come here as babies and have never been in those other countries since they were days old. How are they going to acclimate to that? And why are they less than? Why are they not considered people with their own? Why are they not allowed to live where they want to live? I don't understand that. It doesn't make any different sense to me. This is the thing. I would do whatever I could for my family. If that meant going to another world or another country, I would. If it was what I felt like I had to do. So I can't blame anybody else for doing that to some. How are you guys feeling? Any of that? Because I know very real people that I love or care about who feel like everything's okay the way things are going. And I just don't understand it. I don't understand how these people who I love and care about in any capacity can have so little empathy and understanding and care for the things going on around them. And I'm really having a hard time merging those two dichotomies of loving and caring for this person, but being so completely blown away by their lack of empathy and understanding of someone else's plight. That doesn't make sense to me. I really, truly don't understand how anybody can see what's going on out in our country and see the terror of not knowing where someone is for an hour and be worried that they've been taken. This isn't some dystopian television show. This is our lives. This is our world. People in my area are finding husbands' trucks and stuff abandoned along the road on their way to work. I know idiots in this world who do not contribute anything, who might be good people, but they don't work, they don't contribute, they don't take care of their families. And every person I have seen out here, they're being taken, are working their asses off, providing for their families, have communities built. And somehow they're not worthy of being here. It just feels wrong and ridiculously stupid, and I don't understand it. And I don't know what to do about it. Because I feel powerless in my own life. I'm not sure how to fix things in my own life, let alone fix things in the world. And I see these things happening, and I just can see how they're going to get worse and worse and worse. I hope they're not. I hope they can be better. But I can see how they can get worse and worse and worse. And end up places where they're going to be in history books, like the Holocaust and all the stuff that you look back on and you go, how did they let that happen? We're letting it happen now. What are we talking about? How did they let it happen? We're literally letting it happen. And I don't know what to do. Sitting in my car, crying about it on the internet isn't fixing it. But I still have to work. And I still have to provide for my family. And I still have to exist in the world. Listen, I don't know who you are, but the Somalis haven't done anything to our country. Honestly, I'm so confused by what's going on out there and the news that some people see and the information some people get and the information other people get. But the reality is most of it's propaganda. Most of what's being around there is meant to just scare people into thinking that they're doing their best to protect everybody. But most of what's being put out there to convince people that other people are bad is false. It's either false or flat lies or misunderstood or misconstrued or an isolated event used to capitalize on people's fears. This is the thing. I know Somalians. I am not personally immersed in their culture, but amazing people. No, it's not proven. You're absolutely not correct. And I understand your belief. I have people in my life who believe wholeheartedly. And the thing is that there is fraud. There's always going to be fraud in situations. There will be. As long as there are human beings, there are going to be people trying to profit from it. Let's be real and let's be honest. But the majority of people are good and not out to defraud people. Most people are just trying to survive. Most people are trying to live their lives and get by. And if I'm being real honest, I would rather the 1% that is actually fraudulent get what they need, as long as the other 99% that need it are getting it as well. When we really add up how much of our personal taxes go towards social services and stuff, it's very minor. The amount of going out to eat for a family, of a middle-class family. So amount that they would go out to eat one time during the year is how much they're actually contributing to those social services in their taxes. So if I have to donate $50 a year so that my entire country's populace gets to have a basic, decent standard of living, I have no problem with that. And I don't give a shit if somebody gets an extra meal out of it than they deserve. And I don't give a shit if somebody gets extra medical care that maybe they could have gotten another way. I don't care. Nobody deserves to be treated this way. Nobody deserves to have to not know where their meals are coming from. Nobody deserves to have to beg and have a substandard of living. There are people who don't have great intentions in this world. But if I'm being real honest, it's mostly not the poor people. However, I'm not saying that there's not people who screw up and don't make mistakes, and there aren't people. I also know a lot of people who doing everything they can to survive, and sometimes that means less than realistically appropriate things, more shady things. Now, they wouldn't have to do that if they had a basic standard of living available to them. Every person I know in this world, minus a couple families, I know a couple families who do, from the outside, from what I can see, are doing well and succeeding and don't struggle with money. And maybe they're the people in this world who made every decision perfect, never made a mistake, never had anything befall them. I don't know. And it's also possible that we're just not seeing what's really going on in their lives and their own personal stresses. But everybody I actually know are struggling in some capacity. And people sometimes have to do what they have to do to survive. And they shouldn't have to. People should not having to be selling their body to feed their children. Do you know how many people I know wait for the deadline to hit so that they can go sell plasma? That's taking advantage of poverty-stricken people to make money. So those poverty-stricken people could feed their families. We should not be in a country where people have to literally sell their bodies to feed their families. And then be so desperate that they risk their lives and maybe go to multiple different locations at different days and times so that they can do that. There will always be a few subsect of every population that is fraudulent. That is human nature. That is people. But most people are just doing what they can to survive. Most people, even if they're doing things they probably shouldn't, there's usually a reason. People aren't out there just intentionally going out saying, how can I screw over my country that I live in? They're focused on survival. They're focused on taking care of their families. They're focused on living in any way they can. It's so disheartening, I think, when I see all the false information that is out there that people believe is true, that makes them so hard-hearted and not supportive of the people around them. I know people who do things they probably shouldn't do to make money. For example, I live in a state where we don't return our cans for deposit. And we live next to a state that does. Is it illegal for people to gather cans in our state or the states nearby and go into that state and return those cans? Yeah. But should they be in a position where their families won't eat or have rent or have gas to their cars to get to doctor's appointments? So yeah, technically they're breaking the law. And I don't give a shit. I will take them over there myself. I don't care. Because they need to survive. And honestly, it's work. Harvesting cans, digging through trash, collecting them from people you know, that's work. Humbling, embarrassing work. I try and do my little part I can, that we set everything that's recyclable out. And then on recycle day, we have them set aside in separate bags next to our recycle cans so that the people don't have to bother digging through our cans. Other people get pissed off that someone's going through their garbage, trying to earn a dime. Well, I will set aside those dimes that I'm throwing away so they don't have to dig through trash to get them. And I don't understand how people can be next door to each other and see a situation so vastly different. The one neighbor might be like, get out of my trash, you homeless piece of shit. Get out of my trash, you druggie. Get out of my trash. Where I will not want them to have to go through the effort of digging through my trash and to be insulted and degraded one more time so that I prepare in advance to leave that out for them. Now, don't get me wrong. This doesn't make me a good person. I'm wrong in lots of different ways. But I just don't understand how two people can see the exact situation in vastly different ways. I don't know. Maybe I'm Pollyanna-ish. And maybe I believe that everybody should have access to survival. And everybody should have access to basic rights. And everybody should access to the feeling of security and safety. Because I'm going to be real with you, I have met a lot of really, really, really bad white people in this world. I've never had a single negative interaction with a Mexican. That doesn't mean that they're all perfect either. They're people. We're all good. We're all bad. We all have our things. But why are we in this point in our world where there's such huge discrepancy in how people see each other. And I don't understand it. And I don't know if I'm a product of propaganda of my growing up, where even though my family was looked down on and criticized and laughed at and judged, that the propaganda taught me I still have so much pride in this country because of our freedoms to come here and better ourselves. And that in this country, anybody can do better. And there's still a part of me, this core part of me, probably brainwashed as a child, I'm sure, that believes it's possible. But I look around every single day and see what's going on. And it is so hard to mesh those two viewpoints. That core part of me believes that this country, anything is possible. Right now, I believe any atrocity is possible. And that's not what I grew up believing. I don't know what to do about this. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how to help. I don't know how to educate people who aren't willing to listen, who aren't willing to do the work to really delve in and find the truth about what's going on. They tend to only look up the information that validates what they already think or believe or have heard or been told. And I don't understand how people can demonize. Let's see. I am not a left versus right. I'm not Democratic versus Republican. I'm not any of that. I am a what's right situation. And I don't understand how anything that makes anything of what's going on acceptable can feel right to anybody. Listen. Is it Michelle? I'm not Michelle. Michelle, listen. I'm not saying it's okay for any illegal to come here and kill anybody. It's also not okay for anybody who was born here to harm or kill anybody. I get that. I'm not anti-immigration policy. I think our immigration policy needs work. All of the administrations have needs to make work. It needs fixing. But what I am saying is that the people who are here, who are not harming people and not doing anything wrong, they're being demonized. And that's who are not harming people and not doing anything wrong. They're being demonized. And that's actually, I don't know if that let me come back or not. It let me jump on over there. I have a complicated family, and its dynamic is incredibly complicated. And I grew up and had made a decision in my life to move away from my family when I was young. It didn't last long. I moved when I was 16, and by the time I had a child, I started recognizing that there were other children in my family that needed care or help. And while many of the people in my family are amazing people and did amazing things with their lives, there were a lot of gaps where certain children needed help, certain people needed things. I ended up having to come back in and be a part of that family. I wasn't really looking forward to. I tried to separate myself, but I ended up not being able to because I grew up being a child who was not taken care of. and was not given the things I needed in the world. And so on some level, I internalized that and felt it was my job for the next generations to be available for the kids in my family. And I'm still doing that. So I apologize. I had to pause to take a phone call because I've got, like about 6 nieces and nephews and stuff that I've still, it's been about 30 over the years, but 6 currently that I take care of. And I had to deal with something for one of them. So I'm trying to build a content here, and also find some answers and solutions to the world in here. But life doesn't stop just because you want to connect with people or you're having a good conversation. You still have to do your jobs. You still have to take care of your children. But anyways, what I was saying is I was speaking to Michelle, and she's right that there is definitely some scary things that can happen and that our world could benefit from refined immigration laws, and I'm a supporter of that. I think our administration currently and our administrations previously have all sucked at it. And it's all needs to be revision. But there's absolutely no reason that the people in our country can't find ways to be safely here while they're going through the process. There is absolutely no reason for the way it's being handled. There's no reason that people should be terrified and tortured and disappeared. It doesn't make sense. This is supposed to be the greatest country in the world. That's what I grew up believing. And I still believe the heart and soul of our country is good. So I don't understand how this is happening or how to fix it. And I have no power. It feels like I have to watch it happen. And that is ridiculous. I don't know. Perks. What's $2 mean? And also, selfishly, I'm terrified for my own family, for the world around us and stuff like that. And selfishly, I'm also like, we don't have a Christmas tree. We don't have stockings. We have no gifts for all the nieces and nephews that I take care of. And how selfish am I to worry about that? When there are people in my communities whose families are being absolutely destroyed. And what does that say about me? That I'm concerned about Christmas and our lack of it. Well, there are literal people fighting for their lives. And so, because I have that privilege to not be in that exact same position, I don't know. Does anybody else out there feel like this? Does anybody feel like garbage worrying about providing their children with the spirit of Christmas while entire families are being decimated, where people are disappearing and not being heard from, and wanting to better my future and have a career and take care of my family and figure out my health and do better every single day, show up, make better choices, be better every single day. move forward, move ahead, and have goals. All at the same time, people I love and care for are terrified that their lives are going to be ended. How do we juggle that feeling? And then also wanting to make sure I take time to be joyful and appreciate what I have and appreciate the people and the moments in my life, but then not feel such guilt about other people's situations. I don't know, the human experience is nuts, isn't it? I don't understand the world some days. I definitely see things and hear things going on around the world. Yeah, Michelle, I feel like I understand what you're saying. But the reality is, it's such a minor law. It's not really any different than your tags expiring and then not getting it licensed in time. Yeah, are you breaking the law? Yeah, absolutely. But should you be the severity? Is there not? Because if my license expires, there are ways to take care of it. But these people are given no ways to take care of it. And if they try, people are literally trying. There was on the news, the regular news, which is censored as hell right now. Everything is censored. You're barely showing anything. You have to really dig for true information. People are on buses leaving the country. At the border, leaving the country. Self-deporting? Mm-hmm. And they're getting arrested and taken to detention. Why? They're literally on their way out of the country. Not figuratively someday, maybe. They are on the road in a vehicle driving out of the country. Why are they being arrested? They're terrified and leaving already. They're scurrying. They're getting hell out of Dodge. But they're still getting arrested. It almost feels like the point isn't to get people to follow the immigration rules or to get the people who are not legal out of the country. It's just to terrify people. It's just to make people scared. It's not about immigration, because there are paths that our country could be doing to make it legal. There are people don't get tortured, tackled, pulled out of their cars, and disappeared and arrested for letting their driver's license lapse, which is no different than missing an immigration appointment. People are going to their immigration meetings, and ICE is there. They're doing what they're supposed to do, and they're being taken. People who are legally born here are being taken and disappeared. If it was about the legality, it would look vastly different. So, and I think people, Michelle, people like you who genuinely feel, thank you. Michelle, I think that you genuinely feel like people should be doing the right thing in the right way. But most of them are doing it, and they're still being penalized. And that's not being shown anywhere. My uncle, who is MAGA, I absolutely love him to death. I have a hard time with this because he has been the person in my entire life who's been around. And I've been taking care of him for about 20 years because he's disabled and elderly. But I watch him watch his version of what's news and his information. And the stuff that he is listening to is feeding into his brain and is so far from the actual truth and reality of what's going on out in the world. And I don't understand how someone I can love and respect so much can't see that what he's listening to is designed to create and build the hate within him. It's designed to make it a us versus them situation. It's designed to create that chaos. It almost feels so intentional to keep all of us, who I think at our core are decent, basic human beings, at each other's throats and so opposed to each other. It feels like very intentionally divisive. Because if it was about following the law, these immigration officers would be vetted people. The latest round of information coming out is really clearly showing that some of them have very basic reading health and reading and writing skills and abilities, have background issues, have tendencies and connections with white supremacy, that they have backgrounds in violence and abuse. They're almost shopping for people into this role. And they're not, and they're being... You are absolutely right, Michelle. And this is the thing. We used to have so much more in journalistic intelligence. What's the word I'm looking for? Integrity. Where now all the news it's skewed by the people producing it, or by if any of the news stations don't draw the line, they are losing and being threatened to lose their licenses. So they're very careful what they put out. That means that the information that does get out is very light and very inaccurate. We are really, a lot of the things that I would follow for accurate information slowly disappearing because it's being censored. We're living in a country where our premises is freedom of the press, so that we all have equal access to information. And it's being censored. And the things that is going out is so skewed that it's hard to tell what's right and what's real. And then the stuff that is coming through feeds into this situation. And so if you're already in a mindset, like say, Michelle, you seem like you're someone who seems open to a discussion, but you definitely, it feels clear that you feel like there's a line here. If that's your perspective, and then all of your information comes in, only validates that perspective, then it's going to just reinforce that feeling and that thought process when it might not necessarily be true. A lot of people say that immigration or immigrants in our country cost our country money, where the reality is that immigrants who aren't entitled and don't get social services, which is a huge lie that part of the propaganda likes to play. They don't get welfare. They don't get medical. They don't get food stamps. They don't get welfare. They don't get medical. They don't get food stamps. But they contribute billions of dollars towards it because they're still paying taxes. Our government still wants its money. And so they know that the illegal immigrants are here working, and they still collect their share. But instead of having a social security number, they have their own different, I don't remember off the top of my head what the number is called, but they have their own number. so that they can link their income to it and they can still get their dime. Immigrants pay billions of dollars in taxes and take no money in social services. That doesn't mean that their children who are born here aren't entitled to it, because they are U.S. citizens because they are born here. And another innate thing about our country is once you are born in this country or become naturalized, that you are a citizen here. When did that change? And why did it change? Change. And why did it change? Sorry about that. Life does not stop just because you go live, right? I feel like I need a second phone, but I can't afford my first phone. So kind of a funny thing, right? But Michelle, I don't know if you're still here. Are you still here? Michelle, you should, even though clearly we differ in politics, you should join me. You should go to the top and join me and follow. If nothing else, then maybe you'll see some of my reposts and some of the things that I listen to. And then, you know, I don't know. Maybe you'll hear information that I follow and learn. And be able to have a different perspective. Or at least have some more information about other people's perspectives a little bit. Because you seem genuinely like you're a kind person. And that you just believe strongly in people following the rules. And I get that. Yeah. I just think that the world is so complicated. What do you think, Michelle? And I don't know, maybe my perspective is specific to me because I have spent my entire life taking care of other people and learning to understand other people's motivations and understanding other people's thought processes and behaviors. Part of that, trauma response, because when you grow up in trauma and you grow up in traumatic situations and maybe with addicts and abuse and stuff like that, you become hypersensitive to changes in moods. You become hypersensitive to people's feelings. And then they're mostly people you love, and you really want to understand maybe how they can do and think the things they do. Or maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm just odd. I don't know. And, but you become attuned to changes. And you become attuned to the world around you. And so I've been taking care of children since I was 4. I have a sister who's a year younger than me and a brother who's 4 years younger than me. And then 23 other brothers and sisters along the way from other marriages my parents had. And none of us had stability. None of us had consistency. All we had was chaos. And all of our lives were filled with things that we had to pay attention to survive and be safe and be taken care of and have our basic needs met. So you innately, and I don't know. Michelle, you're right. Michelle is saying that it's a wicked world and trying to live in it and knowing what is actually the truth is so hard. And you're right. And I'm going to tell you from my experiences in the world, there are some bad people. However, I should point out that most of the bad people I know are white. You know, and I'm not misjudging or saying that white people are bad. They're not. Just my experience is saying that there have been some really nasty, negative people in this world in my personal life. None of them have been another color or another race. That doesn't mean they don't exist. It just means that's my experience. However, most of the people, even the ones who have done things that I would quote unquote call bad to me, are good people at their heart and soul, at their core, and just doing what they can to survive. And I have found that across every demographic that I've come across. Everything I've read in my life, and I've read a lot, and I've learned a lot, because for a long time I was trapped inside my body and not able to move. I used to be well over 600 pounds, and I've lost several hundred pounds now. Still have a long ways to go. So anyone who's going to come on here and say, you're still fat, I know. I know. I see. But I lived for a long time trapped inside my body. And so I learned everything I can. I read everything I can read. And most people are just doing their best to survive, and they're not focused on scamming or defrauding or doing bad things to the people around them. Don't get me wrong, there are some bad people out there, but the majority of people are just normal people and doing what they can for their families. And so people who maybe came over here 60 years ago from other countries and at the time followed those rules that have been grandfathered out that no longer apply might look like they're not legally here now. But the rules have changed 500 times in the 60 years they've been here. So why is a grandmother who's been in our country for 60 years being tackled to the ground, arrested, and taken to detention, when all she has done is raise more generations of American citizens and jump through the hoops over the 60 years that she's been here? It doesn't make any sense. And why in that 60 years has our amazing, amazing government that, not so amazing, but has such amazing potential and possibilities, why hasn't they fixed the situation so that that grandmother who's been here for 60 years and raised generations of American citizens could not become legal? Why is there not a pathway? Yeah, everybody should do their best to follow the law and do what they can, but there has to be a reasonable law to follow. And it can't change every 4 years because somebody else's opinion is running the country. The last couple generations of administrations were getting somewhere. They were not great. Let's get real. Every one of them had issues and flaws to their immigration. But they were working towards it. But they weren't there. And there's no reason. There's absolutely no reason that this amazing country that I grew up loving and believing wholeheartedly has potential for anybody could come here and succeed. Why was there no legal things? And given that, people who have done it and are here, why are they being detained? Just because someone's brown driving down the street, why are their vehicles being followed and detained? That's not because they're doing anything. That's not a law issue. That's a racism issue. And our country is supposed to be better than that? It doesn't make any sense to me. What would I do? But this is the thing. People are trying to self-deport. There's literally on the news, mainstream news yesterday, that people who were leaving the country on buses leaving the country, on the road, going over that border area, are being stopped and detained. They're literally trying to self-deport. They were literally leaving the country to leave the situation. It's clearly not about legality. It's about arresting. It's about numbers and bodies and penalizing people who are brown. People are willing to deport when they're able to. They shouldn't. They absolutely shouldn't have to. Now, this is the thing. A lot of the people who have their visas have lapsed or missed an immigration court or whatever the case may be for ones who legitimately are here illegal. It's a civil thing no worse than registering your driver's license. You don't get arrested and kicked out of the country if you miss your date to renew your driver's license. There's a pathway to fix that. So why such an extreme reaction? Why no pathway to make it right? And a lot of the times people were here legally doing the things and they're still being penalized. People are going to their scheduled immigration meetings and being taken with no warning, even though they weren't missed a meeting. They weren't behind. They weren't a criminal. They had no pending charges. Nothing was wrong. They're literally just showing up and grabbing people and going. It's not about following the law. According to our government's website put out by the current administration, 85% of the people detained are low risk and have no criminal history. That's amazing. And yeah, are there some that have minimal criminal records? They're fairly minor. Yeah, those aren't considered in the 85%. And I think there's been like 1,000, maybe 3,000 of the hundreds of thousands of people who've been taken who are deemed by them as actually bad. And I'm not against immigration reform. I'm not against enforcement. I'm not against any of that. I am against the way it's happening and that there's no pathway to make it right. There's no pathway for people who've been here for generations. That there's no safe way. They can't even go to immigration for an appointment and try and do it the right way because they're just literally getting taken. So what are they supposed to do? They're just left with they have to hide. And then they are breaking the law to survive. Then how do you judge them for that? I go to a couple of local Mexican stores or mercados in my area to get things because sometimes they have better product than my regular grocery store and for better prices. And they are empty. People are afraid to buy groceries. People are afraid to go in and get food for their families. Legitimate businesses in our community are failing because people aren't going to their businesses because they're being stalked by agents out there. Okay, so an agent isn't going to stalk the grocery store if they have legal warrants to take somebody. They're hunting. They're going to the feeding grounds like an animal. That's no different than going out into the woods and going to the watering hole and waiting for your prey. That's what it feels like. Does it not to anybody else? It's so predatory. And people are right. When in this country did we become okay to hide behind the police figures, to hide behind masks and be violent, and not that people don't have rights anymore? The whole concept of our country is that we have rights. Everybody has rights here. That we don't act like them, those other countries that do shit like that. But we are doing shit like that. It doesn't make any sense. It truly doesn't make any sense. Yet, I'm supposed to be working on my future goals. I'm supposed to be doing my best to move forward. I'm supposed to be doing everything I can to maintain our standard of living. I'm supposed to do my absolute perfect, while other people are just suffering, and that we're terrified, and that we're scared. We're living in a country where people are afraid to go to the grocery store, where children are afraid to go to school, where my kids are coming home and talking about how their friends' families are terrified about what will happen if their parents are taken while their kids are at school. What happens to the children? There's nobody to pick them up. They're not on approved. They don't have any backup people to. First of all, what if no one knows the parents got taken, and that no one comes to pick up the children? What happens to those children? They get taken into the government situations. It just doesn't make sense. It really, truly doesn't. And I haven't found a single justification. And trust me, I have an uncle who listens to every podcast, every newscast, all the things. So it's constantly playing in the background. Sometimes to the point where I'm sick to my stomach to have to hear it. Nothing that I am hearing coming from any of that justifies, even if any of it was true, which the bulk of it is not, most of it is skewed, none of it justifies the treatment of people in our country. I just don't understand. Do you guys? I know that there's a lot of us that have different political things. And I did not grow up political. When you grow up poor, in poverty, trauma, with addicts for parents, your everyday is about survival. You're not really paying attention to politics. You're not really growing up in a home that's discussing tax wages and tax cuts and school funding and stuff. You're surviving. It almost feels like that's purposeful, because then I was uninformed and ignorant. I didn't even know what's going on. You keep everybody down and terrified and barely surviving. I think, I am slightly college educated. Not all the way, because I have a couple of minor degrees, but no major degrees. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You can't reach your higher selves, right? If your foundation of safety and survival is not met. If you don't have food and housing and consistent, safe stuff down here, you will almost never be able to get to self-actualization and get to the higher levels of awareness and confidence and all the things that you need to really be your true self. Because you can't do that. You can't build a house on a foundation on sand. So, is our country built in a way that it just keeps so many people barely surviving so they can't have the energy to see what's going on around them, and then you're breeding ignorant people who don't know? I don't know. I am truly astounded by this. And I don't understand. I really just don't get it. And I don't think it should be this hard. And I don't think it should be this confusing. And I don't think it should be this scary to exist in our world. And I never thought it would be us, if that makes sense. Us as in our country. Because growing up, you hear about atrocities, in school books and stuff, conversations. But it's always somewhere else. Or, if it was here, it's washed down enough that you can be disconnected from it. So I think that, yeah, we discussed slavery. We discussed the atrocities to the American natives, American Indians. We discussed internment camps and stuff that happened here. But all of it was so surface level that you lose. You don't have enough information to really understand the atrocities. And so it just also feels like it wasn't us. And I don't think I should be held accountable for generations of behavior before me. But that also doesn't mean that it was okay and that I should ignore it and not learn from it. I don't know. I'm supposed to be working, not here rambling about things that terrify me. Yeah. And Michelle, you're right. You're right. And so if we're forcibly being held ignorant, fed only things that ignite rage, how do we combat that? How do we fix that as an individual? While also, keeping the Christmas spirit alive for your children so that they aren't traumatized, so that in 40 years, their lives aren't defined by this atrocity in their world. By also moving forward and working on your goals and, in my case, getting healthy, building a business, maybe learning how to have some financial security someday. But at the same time, be so aware of what's going on around us and have no control. And I'm a white woman on the internet, so I have more privilege than a lot of the people that's being affected by this. Because of my my skin color gives me that privilege. So I don't know. I don't know what to do. And I don't know how to fix it. And I don't know how to help. When I feel like I can barely keep stability under my foundation on the stand for my own family, let alone the people around us. And then how do I go through the world just going, oh, well, there's nothing I can do about it? Because what kind of an attitude is that? So how do we fit all of that energy inside of us? How do we fix it? What's the right thing to do? And I feel like every single day is just getting through one more day and surviving, while simultaneously trying to have hope and work hard towards a better future, but also being terrified that the world is falling down around you, internally, in your own home, and outside your doors. It immobilizes you. It makes it so that you're a functional zombie, that you're moving through the day doing the absolute basics that you have to do. But it immobilizes you, and I think keeps you from action, from true happiness, from true growth. But it immobilizes you so you can't do anything about it, or makes you feel like you can't do anything about it. And I don't know. Almost feels like a cauldron, in water bubbles, and every single one of those bubbles is a disconnected, opposing thought and feeling, and they're all bubbling, bumping into each other, bursting, bumping into each other, popping, bubbling. And I don't know how to calm that down, how to unite the ideas and the feelings, how to solve the problem. Especially when half the country doesn't even see it as a problem. It really doesn't make sense to me. So, if anybody here wants to follow the ramblings of a chaotic, crazy person, feel free. And now, I'm going to get off of this ramble. And I'm going inside. And I'm going to try and make sales videos for things that nobody wants to buy. Because I would like to give my children something for Christmas this year. Michelle, funny enough, I grew up rebelling against my lifestyles and became LDS when I was a child, and off and on lived through the life. I'm not practicing. It's not, I was drawn to it because of community. I was drawn to it because I looked around and I saw things in the families of the LDS environment that was not in my home growing up, and that support and that community, and I was just drawn to it. I've never really got into the scripture. I read it all. I did all the work. It wasn't for me. But the community, that support, that feeling that there's people around, I resonated with it. As I grew up, it wasn't something that was for me, but I still remember the feeling. Although I always still felt on the outside, and I always felt fraudulent going there. I always felt like I wasn't, not that anyone treated me poorly, not that anyone was disrespectful, but I always felt like I wasn't a part of it. But it's like when you're a child and you go into a home of someone's home that is so vastly different than what you grow up in, and so soothing and calming and kind that you want to go back all the time, even if it's not your life. So I don't know about religion, and I don't necessarily even know if or what I believe in. I'm being real truthful there. And so I don't necessarily think that it's into days or into times. I just think that people can be atrocious. And I just want to be a good person. And I want to do what's right. And whether that's that still small voice speaking to me or not, or if it's just my own moral compass, I don't know. And I know if you are LDS, though, you're probably struggling with that feeling of probably seeing what's going on and knowing it's not right, but at the same time having other messaging coming through, people around you and stuff that are about rule following. I don't know. I think it's complicated, and I think you're in a complicated situation. I never felt good enough. Even as an adult, when I tried to go back over the years and stuff, I just felt not enough. And also, I felt like, first of all, I don't resonate with a lot of the scripture. I resonate with the themes. Don't get me wrong, because the themes are about calmness, kindness, and I always had those feelings of this concept feels right. I just don't necessarily, I'm not sure how I feel about organized religion in general, except for the fact that I think that it gives you an organized place to have community. But I think it also has some negative drawbacks. I haven't really thought about it too much. But I know that I felt uncomfortable and not good enough. And I don't know. I don't know how to explain that. But I met amazing people there. People that to this day are still so very, very important to me. That are amazing. And I know logically that I should be more than enough. I know that logically. And if any of my children said anything to me about not being enough, I would say the exact same thing. However, going into those environments, I still personally felt not enough. So, and I think there's a huge difference between knowing that I'm probably enough, but internally believing that. And I don't know. And honestly, I always just felt like I'm already barely holding on and failing at home. Let's be real. We're all surviving and doing our best. And then you have the added pressure of whatever you needed to do for the churches and stuff. Excuse me. Not like you were told to or had to, but my internal expectation. And I felt like it was one more thing that I failed at. And honestly didn't really have time for it, so. So religion isn't for me, per se, like an organized set religion. But I do believe in fairness and empathy, and I do believe in taking care of the people around you, and I do believe in watching out and doing what's right, choosing the right path when you can. That's just ingrained in me. So it's hard to juggle all of these messages I have going on inside me, all of these feelings, and doing the right thing and feeling like I'm doing the right thing. And nothing ever works out. Well, things work out, but I don't know. I just think it's so complicated in this world. And I feel completely isolated, alone, when I feel like there's lots of people who probably feel this way. So why are we all feeling so isolated and alone if we're feeling the same things? Right. But I should probably be trying to find some gainful side hustle, gainful employment to work, and trying to make some sales videos. So, and I'm learning how to be a content creator, and I honestly kind of suck at it. And it's kind of a weird job or field or business to go into, where you're learning out front, in front of the world, in public. So, normally when you learn a job, you're only people around you maybe see that you're kind of a screw up. You don't know what you're doing. But I'm posting it on the internet for everyone to see. So hopefully I'll get better. Yeah. No. I'm not Mrs. Clark. Do I look like a Mrs. Clark? G4, G3. All right, everybody. I don't know who's in here listening to me ramble. It was nice to talk to you, Michelle. And Shelly. I don't know where you are, but you're here. Feel free, you guys, to enjoy my little fan club at the top. It helps the people you're following build engagement in their communities, I guess, and it helps them so that maybe next time they come on, people will want to follow them. It's kind of storming at my house today, so I'm in my car and I haven't left it yet. I have so much work to do. And one of my kiddos just messaged that their tire has a screw in it. All right. Well, everybody, sorry for this rambling vent fest we went on today. And I hope that if any of you guys are feeling this way, that you have someone to talk to. Because I don't know, in my family, I'm kind of the one who has to take care of the issues, take care of the problems, deal with everything. And so feeling like I can't do it is not something I'm really capable of doing right now. So coming on here and rambling to everybody else was my solution, apparently. All right. It was really nice to meet everybody. I talked to a couple of people, and I don't know. Maybe I'll be back again someday. I'm going to try and go live just to talk with people and get more comfortable with this. Can try and make this into a thing eventually, but I'll do my best. You have a good day, Michelle. Hi, Mrs. Angela Farm Life. I like that. Feel free to look around in my bag. Also, if you're in here, I'm getting ready to take off here real soon, but feel free to go up there to the top to the yellow heart and join my fan group. Angela from Maine, you're on the absolute other side of the country from me. I'm in Washington State. And you may not know this, but we are known for rain. And it is currently storming. So... Oh, thank you, Miss Angela. You're the first gift I've gotten. That's very kind. Thank you. We were just having some real conversations about feelings of the country and how we're have different opinions and feelings about safety and how things are being handled and stuff like that. So you kind of miss some of the deeper ones, but all right. I do have to get to work at my content creation job that doesn't earn me any money yet because I suck. So feel free, anybody who wants to join me and maybe watch my content, share it, post it, follow it, whatever. Oh, by the way, for anyone who doesn't know, if you watch anyone's content and you're trying to support their growth and you like what they're saying or something like that, do your best to watch their videos all the way through and you'll hear it a lot, but it really makes a difference. Do you know all our videos are like on a point thing? Where some people will like them, you get the least points for liking. I think we should get the most points for liking. TikTok doesn't take my opinion into consideration though. So this is my PSA to anyone who wants to support any videos that you see. Share them, repost them, like them, save them. It helps your favorite content creators grow. It helps the algorithm think that people might be interested in what they say and pushes them out. So if you're somebody who's scrolling through the internet and you see something that resonates with you, yes, like it. If that's all you have time, just like it. But if you have the time, watch the video all the way through. Comment, share it, repost it, save it. Because it really does help your creators and they really appreciate it. Every single time I have someone that just even likes my stuff, or repost or anything, I am so grateful because I know how important it is to the algorithm. All right, everybody. I'm Kelly. I don't know, I haven't said that in a while. This is Kelly's House of Chaos coming live from inside my car that I can't pay for this month, but it's mine for today. And trying to figure out the world around me and help it make it a little bit less chaotic for everybody, so that we can have some peace someday. You guys have a great day.